Synchronicity is the experience of two or more events, apparently without a causal relationship, occurring in a significant way. Carl Jung. Have you ever been thinking about someone and suddenly they call you? Or when you're reflecting on a personal dilemma and, out of the blue, you see a phrase in a book or on a sign that seems to give you the exact answer you need? These are everyday examples of the phenomenon that Carl Jung called synchronicity. Events that seem to coincide but have a profound meaning for the person experiencing them. Synchronicity differs from mere coincidence because it carries with it a sense of purpose, as if the universe were sending you a message directly. There is no logical connection between the events, but the psychological and symbolic connection is undeniable. For Jung, the study of synchronicity arose partly from his quest to understand the role of the unconscious and how it communicates with us. He was interested in how internal psychic content could manifest itself symbolically in the external world. The idea of synchronicity is deeply connected to Jung's conception of the collective unconscious, a layer of the psyche shared by all of humanity, where archetypes and universal experiences are stored. When we experience synchronicity, Jung believed that we are accessing a point of convergence between the inner and outer worlds, where both become reflections of each other. It's as if, for a brief moment, the veil between the individual and the universe is lifted, revealing a hidden interconnectedness. In this video, we will explore the concept of synchronicity, according to Carl Jung. What does it mean when the universe talks to you? Why do these moments arise, and what is the purpose behind them? Synchronicity offers more than simple coincidences. It points to a greater order, an invisible web that connects all events and individuals. When we learn to pay attention to these messages, we can perceive new forms of meaning and purpose in our lives. Synchronicity calls us to reflect on the nature of chance and the possibility that life is more mysterious and interconnected than we can imagine. How have you heard the universe speak to you? The concept of synchronicity was developed by Carl Jung in an effort to expand the boundaries of what we understand by causality, and more importantly, to integrate the symbolic dimension of everyday life with the human psyche. Jung realized that not everything that happens to us can be explained by the linear logic of cause and effect, especially when it comes to the workings of the unconscious. The idea of synchronicity is essentially that events in the external world can mirror internal states in a meaningful way, even without a direct causal connection. This perspective makes room for the understanding that the universe or reality can function in ways that transcend rational thought. In his clinical observations, Jung noticed that many of his patients reported experiences of coincidences that seemed to have deep meaning, especially when they were going through moments of great change or internal conflict. A classic example that Jung described was that of a patient who was resistant to traditional therapy, who told a dream about a golden beetle. During the session, a species of beetle with similar characteristics to the one described in the dream appeared at the window. For Jung, this event was a turning point in the treatment, as the symbolism of the beetle in ancient Egypt was linked to transformation and rebirth. This moment was significant for the patient and proved fundamental to the progress of the therapy. Jung proposed that synchronicity involves the activation of archetypes, universal psychic structures that reside in the collective unconscious. These archetypes are patterns of behavior and meaning that transcend cultures and eras. In the example of the scarab, the archetype of rebirth was at play, emerging both in the patient's unconscious and in the external environment, manifesting itself in a symbolic way. Synchronicity therefore challenges the notion that we live in a fragmented and disconnected world. Instead, it suggests that there is a hidden order that connects the internal and external events of our lives, allowing symbols and meanings to emerge in ways that can guide or transform us. When these moments occur, they offer us a unique opportunity to look beyond appearances and see the deeper connections that shape our experiences. Understanding synchronicity is ultimately about accepting that the universe can be in constant dialogue with our psyche. Are we ready to listen? To understand how synchronicity manifests itself in our lives, it's important to note that these events usually occur at times of crisis, transition, or inner searching. Imagine a person who is dissatisfied with their job and begins to question the direction of their life. She constantly thinks about changing careers, but the fear of uncertainty prevents her from making a decision. One day, while walking through the streets of the city, she comes across an advertisement for a course in exactly the area she had considered but discarded because it was too risky. She feels a strong connection with this event as if it were a sign that the universe is giving her permission to follow her instincts. This type of experience may seem trivial, but it carries deep meaning for those who live it. Synchronicity appears when the individual is in tune with their own unconscious and with the flow of life around them. The announcement doesn't cause the decision to change careers, but reflects the person's psychic state, which is already on the verge of an internal transformation. The unconscious, using the outside world as a canvas, projects its deepest intentions and desires, generating a connection between inside and outside. Another common example is when we think of someone we haven't seen for years and unexpectedly bump into them in the middle of the street or receive a message from them. Often, these encounters occur at times of loneliness or need for emotional support, as if this person were summoned by something greater to offer exactly what we need. Synchronicity can thus be seen as a symbolic form of support from the universe, a way for life to remind us that we are not alone on our journeys. These synchronistic events have a powerful psychological impact. They make us feel connected to something beyond ourselves, be it a greater purpose or an underlying order that guides life. More than random coincidences, they are experiences that awaken a sense of belonging to the greater flow of existence, a confidence that there is a hidden order that guides us when we are in tune with our psyche. This ability to see meaning in the accidents of life can transform the way we face challenges and uncertainties, offering a new perspective on the power of intuition and inner listening. For Jung, synchronicity was not just an individual psychological phenomenon, but an expression of the connection between the individual unconscious and the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious, one of the central concepts in Jung's work, is made up of symbols, myths, and archetypes that belong to all of humanity. When we experience synchronicity, these archetypes are activated, revealing their power to shape the way we interpret reality. When Jung proposed this idea, he was proposing something radical, that the human psyche is not isolated, but connected to a larger network of shared meanings. In other words, every time we experience a synchronicity, we are not only having a personal experience, but we are also tapping into a deeper pattern that is part of the collective human experience. It's as if the universe is echoing back to us something that resides within all of us. Archetypes play a crucial role in this process. These primordial symbols, such as the hero, the wise old man, the shadow, or the self, often manifest in synchronistic experiences in a symbolic way. For example, a person who is dealing with issues of authority or power may experience a synchronicity related to the figure of the hero or the wise man through a story they read, a movie they watch, or even in a chance encounter with someone who represents these archetypes in their life. These archetypal manifestations are like reminders that we are facing universal themes and that what we feel, although deeply personal, is something shared by humanity. Another important aspect of synchronicity is its relationship with the process of individuation. For Jung, individuation is the path to the full development of the being, where the individual integrates aspects of their shadow, reconciles the ego with the self, and connects with the archetypes of the collective unconscious. Synchronicity, in this context, can be seen as a tool that life uses to help us align with this process. These moments of alignment between the internal and the external are signs that we are on the right track, or at least that we are receiving important messages to help us grow and evolve. Thus, synchronicity is not just an interesting curiosity from a psychological point of view, but a real gateway to integration and spiritual growth. By recognizing and honoring these moments, we can embark on a journey of self-discovery that brings us ever closer to who we really are. Synchronicity, as Carl Jung taught us, is more than just a coincidence. It is a way for the universe to remind us that we are on a meaningful path where the visible and the invisible, the internal and the external, intertwine in mysterious but deeply connected ways. These moments serve as signs that there is a hidden order, a web of meaning that binds our lives to a greater purpose. In their work of individuation, the individual is constantly called upon to pay attention not only to the outer world, but also to the inner world, that vast ocean of symbols, archetypes, and patterns that reside in the unconscious. Synchronicity invites us to recognize that these two worlds are not separate, but that they influence each other. When we encounter a synchronic experience, we have the chance to realign ourselves with the path of individuation, the integration of the shadow, and the recognition of the self. These experiences may seem trivial at first glance, but when we take a closer look, we realize how profound they are. When the universe speaks to us through significant events, it challenges us to leave the comfort zone of purely rational thinking and embrace a more intuitive and symbolic way of looking at life. Synchronicity, then, encourages us to trust our intuition, to pay attention to the whispers of the unconscious, which often uses the outside world to send its messages. It's important to remember that synchronicity shouldn't be forced. It happens naturally when we are open and receptive to life's deeper connections. By recognizing these events and reflecting on their meanings, we can discover valuable insights about ourselves, our deepest desires, and the challenges we face. These moments allow us to see that even in the most difficult times, there is a greater force guiding us, helping us to find the meaning and direction we need for our journey. For those who are willing to listen, synchronicity offers an internal compass, an orientation that helps us navigate the ups and downs of life, always with the understanding that we are connected to something greater. The universe does speak, but it is we who must learn to listen to its messages. So the next time you experience a significant coincidence, stop for a moment and ask yourself, what is the universe trying to tell me? Perhaps it's an opportunity for a new direction, an invitation for an inner awakening, or simply a reminder that you are never truly alone. Before we close, we want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment of synchronicity where the universe seemed to send you a direct message? Share your experience in the comments. It could be a coincidence that made you think, or a sign that appeared at just the right moment. Let's create a space for exchange and inspiration, where we can connect with these deep and mysterious stories. After all, maybe these coincidences are calling us to pay more attention to what the universe is trying to tell us. Leave your story below, and let's explore the power of synchronicity together.